Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Modern Mining. Take a look right here. The 3070 is spinning. What? 3070 jobs are back on Salad? Nope, this is on Octaspace. So Octaspace now has a Windows node setup that's super easy. Basically just a couple clicks and you're ready to go. Basically just as easy as Salad. Huge shout out to ALPHAMINE. He was the first one to make a video on this. He is very knowledgeable when it comes to the different AI platforms and strategy and up to date with all the news. So definitely give him a subscription, guys, if you haven't heard of him before. So in today's video, we're going to be checking out my rental on Octaspace for this 3070 rig. This is about as budget as you can get. 3070, 2600X CPU, and 32 gigs of RAM. I believe this was maybe $200 plus the GPU, but I already had the GPU. And it is rented right now, and it is profitable. So that's something that has not been seen in the last few weeks, because my 3080 doesn't have a job. Most of my 3090s don't have a job. This one does. That 4090 has a job, and that one does too. I'll show you really quickly on the monitor here. My 3090s have been bouncing in and out of jobs. Everything that's on these lower lines is 3090s. So you can see they're bouncing in and out. And my 4090s, thank God, have been holding jobs long term. Looking at about $15 in the last 24 hours and about $100 in the last week. So been doing decent, but today I want to do a couple things. We're going to check out Octaspace, set it up on a new rig. We're going to set it up on this 3090, which has 64 gigabytes of RAM. And for some reason, this one has not gotten a job at all on Salad in the past 2 or 3 days. And I'm worried because this is the one I installed Nosana on, and it messed with some of the Docker settings and stuff. I'm worried that I may have broke Salad. I'm not getting any errors or anything, but I'm also not getting any jobs. So that's the one we're going to test on Octaspace. And honestly, the Octaspace interface and stuff is very cool. So we need to figure out what are we going to rent this for. Right now, my other 3090s are renting for like 8 or 9 cents, which isn't that great. I think we may be able to get like 12 cents out of that. And if it works super well, then we may put my 128 gigabyte 3090 rigs on it as well. And depending on how much time we have, I also want to get some of these rigs converted to Windows 11 because Octaspace only works on Windows 11, guys. And I found some tricks to kind of get rid of the secure boot requirements and stuff like that to get Windows 11. So after a quick word from our sponsor, let's go ahead and jump into this one's performance, and then we'll look into setting this one up. Today's video is sponsored by Crypto Miner Bros, a reliable and highly trusted ASIC miner reseller. There are a couple huge benefits to buying from Crypto Miner Bros. The first is that the price on their website is the all-in price shipped to your door, no hidden fees. The second is that they have a massive selection of all the popular miners. My current favorite miner is the DG Home 1, which I got from Crypto Miner Bros. Don't forget to use code MODERN for $70 off each item regardless of price. Purchasing ASIC miners can be risky with tons of scams going around. Why not make it easy with Crypto Miner Bros? Check them out today with the link down below. All right, been about a week since I showed my Salad earnings. I know I just showed them to you guys, but we'll give you a better look on here. $15 in the last 24 hours, about $100 over the last 7 days, $400 a month. That's okay, but with the amount of investment I put in, I would like to see that a lot better. This is mainly only being supported by the 4090s. They've really been putting in some work, so thank God for that. We'll go ahead and check all of these here and take a look. Like I mentioned, these bottom lines are all 3090s, and they're pulling only like 8 to 7 cents per hour. Now, the good news is, I believe the Asus one that was only getting 7 cents per hour, that was using like less than 1 cent in power. So it wasn't even making the fan spin. So that was actually profiting about 7 cents in power, whereas that 872 job was using a lot of power. It was only profiting like 3 or 4 cents per hour. So it's not always about how high the line is. Some jobs use a lot more power than others. Go ahead and do an aggregate of the last 30 days. Definitely still been a big drop since the Salad kind of demand, but don't lose hope, guys, because I did hear from a little birdie that supposedly there may be some new Salad customers coming on soon that would be a wealth of jobs for 16 gigabyte plus machines, and hopefully that happens because I've got a lot of 3090s now. So, all right, today's video though is about Octaspace, so let me get logged in here. All right, so Octaspace is a proof of work coin. You can actually mine Octaspace on the ETH hash algorithm. A lot of people mine it on their Jazz miners and stuff like that, but they also have a basically distributed compute marketplace. So this is where we're going to be listing our hardware for other people to rent. So these are all the open machines that are open right now, and there's some key statistics on there like the GPU, the CPU, the RAM, how much disk space is available, and then also very importantly your network up and down speeds. So we'll get into the marketplace a little bit later, but that is where we're going to be listing our hardware. And then we can actually set our own price, which is, in my opinion, kind of where the power of this comes from, because I've got my 3070 listed pretty low, but that's why it has a job. So if you go to the Cube Octaspace, the Cube is like, I guess, the kind of dashboard. I'm still learning about this as I go, by the way. I've been doing this for a few days now. If you go here and then go to hosting, you can see your nodes. And right here, we can see my node. It is verified and it is busy currently, which means that it does have a job. And in the last 24 hours, it's made 27 cents or 0.64 Octaspace. Now, one thing to note is Octaspace is on the Tangem wallet, so it's very easy if you already have a Tangem wallet to hook up. You just put your Tangem wallet in here as your reward address. And before we even get started on the tutorial, go into your settings here, your profile, and make sure you set that reward address right here, because you're going to get an error if you don't set that, and then you have to wait for the next time that it checks, and that was kind of annoying. So just go ahead and put that in immediately. All right, so let's take a little bit of a look at my node. So like I mentioned, this is an extremely budget rig. We can take a look at the hardware here. Ryzen 2600, which has 12 cores. It is only experiencing a 17% load right now. RAM, it has 32 gigs, but Octaspace is only utilizing 27 gigs of it for some reason. I guess 5 is being used by something else. And then the disk, it has a 1 terabyte drive and it shows 700 free. Now for the GPU, this is where the money's being made right now. My GPU is under 100% load, temperature 66, so by no means hot. It says power limit is 280. That's definitely not the wattage it's actually pulling. And the memory, it's not using that much of the VRAM either. So I can go to sessions here and I can see that someone has been renting this for 7 hours and just barely a little bit of traffic up and down. It is a rental, and you can see a little bit more about this right here. So the big question is, how much am I making off this? So if you go to configuration here, and we'll set this up on the new rig, but the main things is just use the exact settings I have here: rental, rendering, don't check VPN, don't check enable service ports. And then right here is where you actually set your price. So when I was using Salad, my 3070s were renting for like 6 cents, I think. And on Octaspace, I have them set to 4.8 cents per hour, which I just really wanted to get a job and test. And it is profitable. So let's take a look at that. So we said 4.8 cents per hour. And if I pull up my Govee smart plugs here for the last few hours that this has been running, it's been using basically 0.342 kilowatts per hour, which with my power cost would come out to be 0.342 times 0.11 cents per kilowatt hour. So I need to take that number, 0.037, and then subtract that from my profit here. So 0.048 minus 0.037, making 1 cent per hour. So nothing crazy here, guys, but times that by 24 cents, I am making 26 cents profit per day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind, this is my most budget rig and it has a job right now, and I could maybe even bump this price up a little bit. So that's where Octaspace is currently better than Salad, because this rig was sitting for 2 weeks with no jobs, and now it has a job and it's making 26 cents per day. Now, this is historically a mining channel, so let's take a quick look at what a 3070 GPU is making on mining. Now, it's not a direct comparison because you have to have all that supporting hardware, but it looks like, wow, Flux is that. I might need to turn my mining rig back on. Is making 8 cents profit. So still, we are making pretty good money, And I mentioned that this rig is about $200 for the supporting hardware because I already had the GPU. So divide that by 25 cents. Looking at like 2 years ROI, but the hope is that salad jobs come back and we start making a little bit more money. But obviously, again, the 3070 is not the main GPU for this. Let's go ahead and get this set up on a 3090. That's where I'm a lot more excited to see what this does. I showed you on Salad that I'm making about 7 to 8 cents on my 3090s, and briefly looking at this earlier, I think I might be able to get like 12 cents maybe on my 3090s. So we're going to take a look at that. Well, I pull up my For the Win 3 rig and it immediately says running job. You're not normally supposed to remote into them when they're running a job, but look at it. It's a very small, probably CPU job. But that confirms that I didn't break it when I installed Nosana, so that's good because that had said like a few days. So let's go ahead and quit Salad here, and we will get this thing started. So, like I mentioned, ALPHAMINE, he is the guy who first posted about this. Check his channel out, guys. Very good content. I actually really like his videos. I've been watching a lot of them lately. We're going to get the download link directly from his video here. So download Octaspace Windows Installer. Let's do that. We're going to do run anyway. And this is going to be very easy to do. After installing Nosana on Windows the other day, it took me like 2 hours. This was such a breath of fresh air. It's like 5-10 minutes and you're good to go. So nice to have. And with it being Windows, now we can pivot back and forth between Salad and Octaspace very quickly on the same drive and just use whichever one has the most work. So right there, boom, we already have it downloaded. And now we need to go through the setup right here. So you can see you have to have Windows 11. We'll continue. Install node. Now here is where you want to set. I'm just maxing this stuff out, honestly. Maybe that's not good to do, but there's not really any downsides in my opinion. I'm not using this for anything else. So even though this has 64 gigabytes of RAM, we can only go up to 59, which is okay. That's still a pretty good amount. So install with 600 gigabytes and 59 gigabytes of RAM. And we'll let this do its thing here. Now, while this is finishing up, one thing to note is that I do have a power limit right now set to 79% on this. And if we go back to the marketplace here, you can actually see when people have a power limit on their cards. So I think we're going to keep this on at first maybe and just see what happens. Maybe I'll set it to 80 instead of 79. But that is something to note, is that they can see that, and maybe that's going to decrease your earnings. But boom, look at that. I'm going to blur this token out, but right here you're going to get a token that you want to copy and write down somewhere. And then this is when you're going to go back to the cube here, go back to nodes, and then you want to add node. I'm putting it in the same DC. I don't know what DC stands for. I'm assuming this is like your farm. Put your token in right here, and then name. This is going to be 3090 64 gigabytes what's the CPU on this? 2600X For the Win 3. Just For the Win. Okay, and we'll hit create. All right, and now we can see that our node is immediately showing up. So it really is that easy. Now let's say, okay, I've noded the token. Get started. And now our node is running. So I am actually just going to leave the power limit as is for now. We'll monitor how that goes. And this is what it looks like. You just have this little node manager here. I'm going to go ahead and pin this to the taskbar. And this just means our node is running. So let's go back to the cube and give this a refresh here. And we can see it says idle right now. Let's go into here, make sure everything's showing up okay. You can see operating system is WSL, Windows, uptime 0%, idle, verification failed. So this is a little glitch. It actually says pass, so this is going to update. But what I mentioned earlier, guys, you need to set your reward address or this actually is going to fail, and then it doesn't check again for like a few hours and you're just sitting there waiting. So again, go into here, go into profile and set your rewards address, which is just your Octaspace address. I used my Tangent wallet. If you don't know if you don't have an Octaspace Tangent wallet, I'll leave a link down below to where you can buy a Tangent wallet. It's a great hardware wallet. So hardware, Ryzen 5 2600, RAM 57 gigs, disk was there, GPU, you can see the temperature and the fan 3090. Okay. So that all looks good there. Now we need to go to configuration. So like I said, we're going to go rental, rendering. We do want to do allow run custom image. And now it's time to set our base per hour here. And we want to set this in USD. It's a little easier. It's the same as salad, so you kind of have a reference of what it should be. But this is what I've been doing. So I've been going to the marketplace, and you can filter out like the core count and a lot of stuff. But what I've been doing is just typing in my GPU and then sorting it by the price. So the lowest one on here is a 3090 that's renting for 10 cents, which is already more than I'm making on salad. And it's a Ryzen 3600, which is better than ours, but CPU is not super important. 31 gigs of RAM, worse than ours. Disk, worse than ours. It's about the same actually. And then the internet speed is very, very low. So this one, much better CPU. RAM's about the same, but the internet's worse. Same with this one over here. CPU is pretty good. RAM's a lot better, but the internet's not great either. So I think I'm going to just set it at 12 cents flat and go from there, because I think it's going to get rented basically immediately on that price. So let's go back to the cube here and let's set this to 12 cents. And we'll hit save settings here. Okay, and you can see node setting was updated successfully. So if we go back to nodes, now do we see, verified and idle. So now we're waiting for a job to come through. So with that, let's wait a little bit. I'm probably not going to post this video until I get a job, so you guys can be updated on how it works. And I'm very excited to see what the power looks like on this. Now, this rig doesn't have a power meter, so I think I'm going to also do this on a rig that does have a power meter so we can get a much better accurate kind of number here. It's next morning, guys. I want to give one more brief update on where we're at on the Octaspace rentals. The 3070 is no longer rented. The 3090 is rented, and the fans are not spinning. That is what we love to see. Unfortunately, I don't have a Govee power plug on this one, but I'm pretty sure it's burning like no power at all. If the fans aren't spinning, then it's not burning a lot of power. And that one's making 11 cents an hour, which is a very, very good job if it's not using power. And then 3080 also has a job, and I do have a Govee plug on that one. So let's quickly hop in the computer, see how profitable that one is. And then in the next video, I'll get some more of these on Octaspace with the power plug so we can see just how much better it is than salad, at least when you're finding consistent jobs. Let's quickly see what our profits and stuff look like after 24 hours. You can see here the 3080 is rented, the 3090 is rented, the 3070 is no longer rented, but it made $1, which we're going to see if was that profitable over power cost. So let's see, is Octaspace AI profitable? So let me quickly pull this over here. So we can see that our 3070 yesterday used 6.86 kilowatt hours, which with my power cost is about 70 cents. And we made $1. So that means we made 30 cents profit on our 3070 yesterday, which is very, very good, because on salad, we haven't had a job in 2 weeks. So it's infinite time better than salad. And we mentioned earlier that mining is 8 cents profit. So like 4 times better than mining right now. So Octaspace is definitely profitable on the more budget rigs, which is awesome, because I used to have a lot of those, but now that I bought these 3090s, I don't have as much. Okay, let's move on to the 3080. So the 3080 is a little bit more challenging here. If we go into it and we go to sessions, it's actually been rented 3 times in the past 24 hours, which makes it a little bit harder to calculate. 3 hours, 19 minutes, 3 hours. And if you look in here, it's funny, the first guy, somewhere it says session stopped because balance is too low, so he ran out of money. But I wish this right here showed in dollars. This shows in Octaspace, so it's a little bit confusing here. But so basically we've made 0.3 Octaspace so far. So I have CoinGecko pulled up here, 0.3. So we've made like 14 cents. And this is where it's a little more, doesn't look as good on this 3080 rig. And I need to see it over a longer period of time. But based on my Govee plug, we've used 1.48 kilowatt hours, which would be about 15 cents. And it looks like, based on the Octaspace price, we've used about 15 cents in profit. So this one may be breaking even. But again, it's had a lot of idle time. It hasn't really just been using the jobs, which, I mean, you need to calculate in anyway. But so that one is not looking as good, but it's still kind of going, and it's only really been going for like 6 hours. So I think I need to just let that sit for a little longer. Now the 3090 is looking very promising here. So it's made $1.34 in the last 24 hours, 3 Octaspace, but I don't think that's actually fully updated. If we go into here, and unfortunately I don't have a smart plug for this one, which is unfortunate. I'm going to get that fixed. But if we go into sessions here, same guys had it for 14 hours. So we've actually made 3.65 Octaspace, which if we put in here is $1.70. And I mentioned that we don't have the exact power cost of this, so we kind of have to estimate here. But if we go into it, the hardware, you can see that the GPU, the load is at 0%. The temperature's sitting at a nice and cool 58. The CPU, 9% load. It's not even using the hardware. If you go to the session here, it's really just using a lot of network. So it's had 5.4 gigabytes down and 1.5 up. But that's it basically. It looks like it's just using a lot of my network, and I made $1.70 off it. So if that stays with my rental price of 11 cents, let's do the math real quick. 0.11 cents times 24 hours a day is $2.64 in profit, which would basically put our ROI at 200 days, which is not bad at all, because if salad jobs come back and those beast jobs come back that profit $5 a day, then all of a sudden this thing's gonna be paid off very quickly. So far guys, Octaspace is looking very promising. It was very easy to set up. Stuff is getting rented. The one kind of downside, I guess, is that you're getting crypto, but there's not the salad 10% fee, and you also have the chance that Octaspace skyrockets in price. It is down at a very low value right now, so honestly, I'm going to be holding, probably get $1,000 worth of Octaspace and see what happens there. But that would be kind of maybe the one downside. And with Trade Ogre gone, it's a little more challenging to sell. Though if you join my Discord, there is guys who are talking about where and how to sell it. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm very excited. I'm going to have a lot more updates on Octaspace and Salad as well. We're just going to start trying out all these AI platforms. And if you didn't see my No Sauna video, I'll leave that up here. And if you want to build a AI rig, I'll leave a video right here. Thanks for watching.